So today's talking point, I wanted to talk about cigarette smoking, tobacco smoking, cigar smoking. This is something I've tried in my own brain to come up with a logically coherent argument against it. I think that the evidence should sway people to not start in the first place. But why can't we make it illegal? Why can't we shut this off as a thing? And I've heard counter arguments that aren't very good, and I don't understand why people would be pro cigarette smoking in the first place. We know it's bad for you. We know it causes cancer. We know it kills people, shortens lifespans. We know that secondhand smoke is bad for other people. It's my air too. You know, you're infringing my right by bringing that smoke into my air. And I've had all sorts of counters to this. Well, you know, it's my right to smoke, or you can't make it illegal because prohibition didn't work, or well, caffeine is bad too, or whatever. And they're red herrings. It's like, look, we're talking about this subject. We're not talking about any other subject. We're talking about this. So focus on this. What reason could you possibly give to allow this thing to continue? I've known kids when I was young that smoked constantly. How did they get it? Swiped it, stole it, borrowed it, bought it outright, had somebody buy it for them, whatever. When you have people 13, 12, 14, whatever, smoking, and you see that, and you see how addicted it is, and when you've had people in your life die because of cancer directly linked to cigarette smoking, it's like, look, what is wrong with people that we are allowing this to continue? And don't sidetrack, don't tangent, don't red herring. If we were to say, let's say, in 5 years or less, that unless you got a card, you could not purchase cigarettes. Unless you owned some sort of, like, a license to drive, but for cigarette smoking, you couldn't buy them. And that eventually what would happen is, we're not issuing new cards. So, you know, nobody under X age can buy this card. Nobody under this age can acquire it. And what we're going to do is eventually have less and less on the shelves, and that is to say, we won't allow stores to stock as much as they do. They would put a limit on how much they're allowed space-wise. So, hey, we're just out. You have to go to a different store. You know, and eventually what would happen is, as the people got older that still smoked for whatever reason, you know, I know it's addictive, that's really the only real reason, and they would decrease as time went on. There would be no new smokers, and thus we could then make it illegal to even start, and it would be wiped out, and that would be the end of that. Why not? Why keep it going? I mean, it's helping the tobacco industry, but nobody else. You know, they're the ones making money from it, not anyone else, unless you are working for them. I don't know why you would, or how you would get a job doing that in the first place. Yeah, I think I want to work for the tobacco company. I don't care how I make money. You know, I couldn't do it myself, you know, and I don't know why people do. But, you know, and I'm not saying, you know, I'm not going after alcohol, I'm not going after anything else, just nicotine. In fact, if we made nicotine illegal, except for medical use, that should go without saying, okay? Any drug, tobacco, nicotine, marijuana, cocaine, whatever the bleep it is, medical use, 100% support that, 100% endorse that, because they can be used to deliver drugs quickly and do things that other drugs can't do or whatever. Perfectly fine, perfectly legitimate. Whatever it is for medical stuff, fine. No problem. But this isn't medical. This is, I'm lighting fire and I'm inhaling smoke to get a temporary high from the low that I've had all day long. And that's how most people that I've talked to have described it, described smoking. And I think maybe one person claimed to that it, oh no, it still gives me the high or whatever. And how did you start is always the thing that I want to know. It's like, and it's always somebody offered me it, and it's the only drug, and people again will say caffeine, but we're not talking about caffeine. It's the only drug, nicotine and tobacco are the only two drugs that are purely for pleasure that are legal. They aren't for any other use. They aren't for any benefit, and in fact they're not beneficial, they're negative. So why in the world do we propagate this and let it continue to live in our society? Now I don't have a logically coherent argument against cigarette smoking as yet. I have to construct that syllogism. But maybe you yourself are a smoker and say, oh, I don't want to be forced to quit. Why not? You know it's bad for you. Why wouldn't you want to quit on your own? And or maybe you can't quit on your own. It's just too hard, whatever. And you need to be forced to quit. Why is that such a bad thing? Once you're off of it long enough, now I've also read and heard stories, you know, people still years after quitting will have craving, and they have to fight that. So I don't know how deep that runs, and I don't know how hard that is, but why wouldn't you? Because you're gonna get back your life, a little bit more of your life span is going to increase by quitting. You save a lot of money. In fact, if you set aside the amount that you currently spend on smoking and just didn't buy it every time, you just set aside that money in a safe or what have you, you know, the end of the month you're going to have way more money than you do otherwise. You'll be like, you'll open up that safe, you know, and you'll be like, oh my word, I've been spending this much money on this. You know, so why wouldn't you want that? I mean, are you saying to me that I enjoy this addiction more than I do my health, my life, other people's air, space, and the fact that this is going to inflict harm on other people, other generations? I've known kids that have started smoking at 12, 13, 14, 15, whatever. How do they get a hold of it? Well, because, you know, they have people buy it for them. And look, you know, my proposed solution isn't perfect. I know that. But my question, and for the talking points, is why do we keep this around as a society? Why not get rid of it? And without going off into red herrings or talking about prohibition, because we're just talking about getting rid of it in a way, you know, letting the people that are addicted to it keep it, or maybe we're going to give them programs to get out of it, or maybe we're just going to say, too bad, it's off limits, that's the end of that, and you're just going to have to live with it, or decreasing it slowly over time and making it so that nobody that's from now on, nobody that's the age 25 or younger can buy them. Period. Nobody that was, you know, so you have like a date. You say, okay, if you were born, like I'm 36, so 1978. So if you were born 1978, you can still buy it. But if you were born 1979, you can't. Or something like that, you know, some number that we would pick probably arbitrarily and say, okay, if you're that age, you cannot buy this product. Why not? Why? Why wouldn't we do that? Why won't we do that? Should we do that? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Are you yourself a smoker and are addicted to it? Do you want to quit? Have you tried to quit? What went wrong? Why don't you just not do it? Is it really that hard? I don't know, because I'm not addicted to anything, thankfully. So what is keeping you as an individual from saying we should make this illegal if you're not on that side like I am? I think that this should go away. I think that we should outlaw nicotine for recreational use along with tobacco and just say, nope, you can't do those things anymore. Or maybe not all at once. Again, maybe we would do the other way where we'd say, if you're born on this date, you can't get this stuff anymore, period. That's just the way it is. Too bad. Tough luck. You're going to have to live with that. And then eventually it won't be around anymore and it just will be gone. And nobody will start because it will just be gone and it won't be a thing. And that's the end of that. Why is that so hard? Why is that such a thing that people will argue against and fight for it like their very lives depended on it? Is it that strong of an addiction? And if it is, doesn't that argue against it even more? So that's today's talking points. Leave your comments, questions, concerns, your argument. If you have a logically coherent argument for and or against this, please present it. And again, because I didn't present one, you can be skeptical of my ideas. But I think we know the evidence is overwhelming that cigarette smoking is bad for your health. We know that. I don't think anyone's going to debate that in the comments unless they're a troll. And anyone that starts to, I'm just going to assume they're a troll. So don't, okay? Don't, not even as a joke. I know some people are like, hee hee hee. No, please, let's, this is serious, and let's treat it seriously. Electronic cigarettes. Now this has become an alternative. Well, now I'm not infringing upon your airspace. But are you? I don't know. Is it good for me to inhale that? Well, it's just water. Is it? I don't know. Is it bad for you? I don't know. I mean, there hasn't been a lot of studies done on it. But again, it's a good step in a way because it doesn't smell as horrible. But is it something that we need more studies on? And again, it still doesn't remove the why not make it illegal? Why not just get rid of this as a thing completely? And that's my question. So those are the talking points. Enjoy talking. Disagreeing with me, fine. Please just do it logically. And there you go. Talk to you next time whenever I do talking points. Again, if I do it, don't know. Unless and until I have a nail clipper, I have to continue to be skeptical of my phone.